Greetings. We'd like to share our model, a metric that accounts for many factors affecting land use, to score it based on how they compare to the best. The definition of best that we used is a standard representing the general perception of a theoretically optimal case of land use. It uses fuzzy logic and is comparative, not Boolean logic, which makes it definitive. Here's a breakdown of the underlying logic flow of our system, our model. Our model is a composition of modules on different layers, correlated to layers of the system in actuality. It encompasses analyses of the system with internal and external perspectives, divided into subjective and objective factors on a microscopic and macroscopic scale through extrinsic and intrinsic models. From an internal perspective of the region, most people think that the major deciders of the ideality are the economic capabilities, environmental sustainability, and the planning implementation. We use them as the main score categories for our metrics factors, X, Y, and Z. The first is our objective factor scores with base ranges of 0 to 1. For urban planning score Z, by plotting the region as an isolated plane, we can make walking circles around each facility where people will be. The more circles overlapping at a point, the higher the population intensity. The areas with the most layers of overlaps are called hot zones, and they are the most popular. We can use a reasonably large amount of arbitrary vectors from the center of the plane to point in the hot zone from vector sum to approximate an average vector from the center to essentially the center of mass of a hot zone. And relative to the furthest point from the center, we can find the convenience of hot zones. Two hot zones with the same L but different areas shouldn't lead to the same distribution of intensity. And viewing them as equal is hence unreasonable. By plotting a graph of intensity against distance, we can use whether the spread pattern appears like the shape of a Hershey's Kiss for scoring, representing how desirable the spread is. The ratios of areas occupied by facilities and hot zones can determine the utilization efficiency of the land. Roads connected to the region center and nearby population centers give the region's reachability. We divided facilities into different classes for a simplified analysis. The more classes, the larger demographics the region appeals to, hence more visitors. The presence of cell coverage and preservation of local and original identity are important too.
For economy score Y, from the net profit NEP, we can find the profit per use area and profit per year to evaluate their efficiency. By comparing the time needed to earn back expenditures from investment to a theoretical optimum, we can find RYR, representing the favorability for investors. The more job opportunities for people to choose from, the more attractive our region is to workers. For environmental score X, the designated area is assumed to have gradually less trees and more usable land towards its center for practicality. When facilities are built starting from around the center, with fewer trees around it need to be cut similar to what is shown in the rough sense visualization. For preservation, trees need to be replanted, taking time. This lets us score the overall situation regarding trees. Time efficiency of operations can determine the efficacy. The highest slope in region allows evaluation for two situations of beneficialness, where score increases or decreases with slope. Aspect and elevation may affect effectiveness.
This part allows us to integrate subjective human elements into our predominantly objective matrix. Different facilities synergize in different ways to form a systematic perspective, as these effects are scenario-dependent and influenced by human affairs. Their effects must be represented by a subjective designated index. We have divided these synergies into three types of combos: class combos, specific combos, and thematic combos. For simplicity and scalability, we came up with two approaches based on DB models to evaluate the effects of these synergies on the facilities microscopically. To reduce the workload and to temper the effects of a single facility in case of a much larger system for accuracy, for example, a singular restaurant in a large mall, we used a hierarchical DB model as a basis in which classes and facilities have a parent-child relationship. Child records on same level cannot have relations, so we only evaluate class combos for facilities extrinsically. Taking inspiration from file-based DBs, specific facilities are evaluated intrinsically on a case-by-case basis, where they are mutually beneficial in specific ways beyond their cases, which class combos may be unable to evaluate the full extent of. requiring us to use this approach to adjust the appropriate scale of the effect. The index, the combo multiplier, is added into the result by matrix multiplication. We will weight the approaches using facility count, tending towards hierarchical approach for a larger count, giving us a thorough account of the effects of combos. Macroscopic factors are factors pertaining to the whole region, unrelated to combos.
Okay, for an experiment, we must account for the external influence on the region. For example, the nearby planet Feb in the clay's groundbreaking effects. Okay, and the Feb will create 9,000 long-term jobs and indirectly created 40,000 short-term jobs in clay, while the latter are non-permanent and without lasting effects on the labor force. By using the logic of set theory, for simplicity, we can find the relocation of labor to clay. This Fab salary is extremely high and will attract a great count of skilled labor. From these two assumptions, and we can use the polynomial regression for the expected amount of people living for clay, and use the probability density function, which is in the next line, and we can find the expected salary of labor living for clay, and that lets us to find the ratio of labor loss, and also we can find the decrease in EPS, the profit potential too. And this significant consumption of the Fab increases the demand for supply and maintenance services and resources such as the water and electricity, hence the prices. Our operating costs will increase for these two needs, and also the pollution will affect the air and water quality, and also the investment. And the investment will brought to the whole local economy and benefiting both us and the clay. And according to the economics, the increased demand will increase the market price and quantity transacted. And so in the result, we can know the external factor delta, and it is definitely to lower our results, the score.
Here are the scores for each facility. We evaluated three cases with different presumed ideality through different placements. As you can see from the score for the whole system here, all three cases are ranked with scores in the expected order. We verified the model's reliability and sensibility by testing with altered versions of previous cases. After adding external factors into the equation, the results are lowered. With them in account, we have created measures to minimize consequences while capitalizing on possible advantages.
Now, the 4 layers of modules and their parts come together through bottom-to-up linkage to form the final metric. Fundamentally, our work is fine-tuning the objective with minute subjectivity to evaluate facilities intrinsically and extrinsically, and the entire region, internally and externally, on both macroscopic and microscopic scale. Thank you.